morning, Ms. Bernadette Lewis, Secretary General of the CTU. We're sorry that we couldn't have you going first. Mr. John Avery, Chairman of the PUC, Belize, Nigel Casimir, Gary Kalu, members of the audience, very good morning. I want to congratulate first Ms. Lewis and the CTU team for their continuing efforts to provide stakeholders in the region with this important forum. Let me also thank the Belize Public Utilities Commission up front for their hard work in hosting this year's event. I want to point out something to us all, that through the efforts of the PUC, Belize is becoming a hub of significance for internet development in the Caribbean region, and that's something I think the local audience should be very, very proud of, and I think we should give the PUC a very warm round of applause. Today I'm representing Packet Clearinghouse, an international non-profit organization responsible for providing operational support, research, analysis, and security to critical internet structure here in the Caribbean and around the world. We have a very long history of collaborative partnership with the CTU and with member governments across the region. We've been assisting in capacity building, technical support, stakeholder awareness programs, and of course, internet governance. And that's why we're here today, and that's what brings me to the theme of this year's event, Accelerating Internet Development in the Caribbean. Now, for many of you, you may know that from the days when the internet was still a university project until now, many of the technologies that we take for granted were developed and streamlined in environments where technical specialists and user communities came together, much like we're doing here this week in Belize City. Internet Governance Forum fill a very significant role in the international internet community, providing a context for knowledge sharing, resource development, skill development, relationship building, and global networking. And this is why there is such a high value placed on this forum, the Caribbean IGF. Throughout the region, we have been increasingly reliant on the internet for almost every sphere of life. We have come to depend on and even demand that the opportunities and the benefits be made available to all. At the same time, we've also come to fear the threats and the moral perils that come with internet connectivity and internet services. The CIGF is a unique forum in that it allows us to confront both the opportunities and the challenges in a candid, pragmatic, solution-oriented manner. We've made tremendous strides in this regard as a region, but there remains a lot more still to be done. Our responsibility is to ensure that our region's governments, its businesses, its institutions, and citizens are aware of the opportunities and how to maximize them, but we also have a responsibility to ensure that they are aware of the threats and what can be done to defend against them. Coordinating the regional IG or internet governance agenda is not a simple matter of calling meetings and giving presentations. With internet governance, collaboration, networking, and trust are amongst the most important currency. And for us, if we have to sustain our shared development objectives, collaboration becomes the key. And that's why a meeting like this, a week like this, an event like this, a forum like this is much more than just technology presentations, protocols, and jargon. We also have to be seriously committed to social networking and relationship building. The CIGF, the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, is unique in that it brings together people and organizations who may not normally meet. And this includes those physically present as well as those waiting to present online who are participating remotely over the next 2 days. It is these human connections that allow us to broaden our perspectives and deepen our understanding of what is really at stake. This year, the 12th CIGF, we once again have the chance to examine national internet governance issues and priorities through a common regional lens. This week we can all work together to serve the greater good of building, supporting and advancing regional networks and accelerating Caribbean internet governance. And that's why, on behalf of my colleagues at Packet Clearinghouse and in the capacity of my many hats, the Caribbean community, the regional organizations that are supported but not necessarily present here today, I want to reaffirm our commitment to this journey, to thank again the CTU, the PUC, and the other stakeholders who have come together to make this week possible. Let us look forward to an exceptional and productive time at the 12th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. One thing Gabriel did mention in his words, his opening remarks, is the fact that, and he did underscore the need for collaboration, networking, and information sharing. And I think that's what we're here to do this week for the next couple of days. So, and also the work of Packet Clearinghouse in the region. So thank you so much, Trevor. Our next speaker is will be Mr. Albert Daniels, Senior Manager and Stakeholder Engagement for the Caribbean region for ICANN.
Thank you very much, Gary. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, Ms. Bernadette Lewis, Nigel Casimir, Gary Kalu, and other members of the CTU team, Chairman of the Belize Public Utilities Commission, Mr. John Avery, and the numerous other soldiers, I call them, from the PUC who are supporting this event, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers congratulates and recognizes the work of the CTU, supported by local host, the Belize Public Utilities Commission, in putting together this 12th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. The recognition of ICANN to these two organizations also extends historically to the many years of work that they have been doing in Belize and by extension the Caribbean in capacity building and outreach. I'm from a very small island, and if you start at the northern tip and you drive for about an hour, you end up at the southern tip of the island. That's it. There's nowhere else to drive. So you could imagine my shock and surprise when I was invited by the CTU to a CTU roadshow in Belize. And we had a conversation with the driver at the airport. He was there this morning, Tyrone, and we asked him, well, how long is it going to take us to get to the first location of the event? And he said, well, we're going to Punta Gorda. I said, it'll only take about 4 hours. So it was very interesting, 7 guys in a minivan driving for 4 hours. But after we got to Punta Gorda and we executed the event and we saw the value of the event, that's when we really understood the vision of the CTU and also of the PUC in recognizing that we need to do this kind of outreach in communities which otherwise would not actually benefit from presentations on ICT, on the internet, and so on. And it was a very heartwarming experience when we engaged the individuals from Punta Gorda and other locations, and in particular the young people, opening their eyes, opening their minds to the possibilities and the achievements that can be made by utilizing ICT and the internet. So it was a very easy decision for ICANN to sign a memorandum of understanding with the CTU and to support events like this, which are of benefit not only to the local territories, in this case Belize, but also to the wider Caribbean, because typically, like this 12th IGF, you have overseas delegates, and typically also you have the events being streamed remotely to the entire Caribbean, and as a matter of fact, to the globe. So ICANN is happy to have the opportunity to give some support to this kind of event. ICANN itself also has 3 meetings a year. Our meetings are a little bit bigger. Usually we have about 1,800 to about 2,500 people at our meetings, but this year we had a challenging and difficult situation which was brought about by the advent of the Zika virus. We had planned 2 meetings in our region, one in Panama which is part of the Latin American Caribbean region, and another meeting in Puerto Rico, which is fairly close. And what this would have meant is increased participation by the Caribbean. So when an ICANN meeting is held in a region, the number of ICANN fellows from that region is larger, and applications for fellowships from the region are given priority. Also, persons in the age range 18 to 30, university students, are able to attend that meeting from the region. So moving a meeting, for example, from Panama to Helsinki meant that there would have been fewer representatives from the Caribbean and no next-gen participants in the particular ICANN meeting. So the Latin American Caribbean staff met, and we thought that we should come up with a mitigation strategy to counter the effects of the reduced participation of Caribbean individuals in our meetings. And this strategy took two parts. One of the parts was to have more of our own events in the region. For example, yesterday I referred to the Latin American Caribbean Domain Name System Forum, which is taking place in the Dominican Republic during the week of the 22nd, and also to expand participation in existing events by more Caribbean people. So I'm very pleased to announce and report that for this 12th IGF, in addition to our usual financial commitment and contribution to the CTU, we have also extended this by facilitating, covering the cost of airfare and accommodation and per diem for 2 additional participants from the Caribbean to attend this meeting. So hopefully the impact of this 12th Caribbean IGF will be broader than it would have been originally. The final point that I would like to leave you with is one of participation. This is my 4th trip at the invitation of the CTU to Belize. Hopefully they will continue to invite me. Belize is a very nice place. And you know, that 4-hour trip, I've developed a very close relationship with a certain golden SUV vehicle that I've spent a lot of time in, taking us all over Belize. So I've been here 4 times. I know the CTU has been here several more times than that. And we also know that this is the 12th edition of the Caribbean IGF. So we are a little bit past the stage where we're trying to figure out what the acronym ICT stands for, what internet governance is about, what is the difference between ISOC and ICANN. We are past the stage where we come into a room and just sit and listen to what the presenters have to say. I think that we are at the stage where we need to deepen our participation. So if there's a discussion going on in the room, having understood what is happening and having formed our own position, we should stand up and make a comment on what's going on. Ask a question. Further, if within ARIN, LACNIC, ICANN, ISOC, there is a call for public comment on an issue, we should be making that public comment. Similarly, we should pay attention to what's happening in these international organizations in terms of working groups that relate to our areas of interest, and volunteer to be on a working group. We've come to these meetings long enough to understand what's going on. The time is now for us to get involved in a very active way. Commit to spending 1 or 2 hours per week or per month to attend some conference calls and make your contribution, make your input to what is going on. And finally, sometimes we come to these meetings and we hear topics, we hear discussions on matters that may not be of interest to us, but we know would be of interest to some of our colleagues. So in those cases, we should be spreading the word. Bring that message to your colleagues who are not here and try to see if you can invite them to participate in future, so that the work that we are doing in internet governance, the work that we are doing across the region to contribute to economic and social development will be lighter for each of us. I look through the audience and I see 1 or 2 people who I know are suffering from something that we call in the community volunteer burnout. And it simply means that in addition to your day job and your family, you spend maybe an additional 40 hours on this kind of work. And I see some heads nodding, so the persons know themselves. So this is it. We need to not only participate by sitting in the audience, but participate by making our own input. So ICANN again recognizes and congratulates the CTU and the PUC and all of the other international organizations, local sponsors and international sponsors. And we trust that you, the delegates, would see the value of having participated in this very important event. Thank you very much.